حرمت عليكم الميتة والدم ولحم الخنزير وما أهل لغير الله به والمنخنقة والموقوذة والمتردية والنطيحة وما أكل السبع إلا ما ذكيتم وما ذبح على النصب وأن تستقسموا بالأزلام ذلكم فسق. اليوم يئس الذين كفروا من دينكم فلا تخشوهم واخشون اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا فمن اضطر في مخمصة غير متجانف لإثم فإن الله غفور رحيم.
حرمت عليكم الميتة. Prohibited for you are the carrion, the blood, and the flesh of the swine, لحم الخنزير, وما أهل لغير الله به, and those upon which name other than Allah's name has been invoked. We were talking about this ayah and we talked about Maita. Very brief overview of what we covered last week about Al Maida, that the animal that dies without being slaughtered according to the Sharia is considered Maida. So any animal that was dead for any reason, either died on its own or because of some external reasons. Someone hit it, car accident, and the animal died, whatever those reasons may be, which means someone else has anything to do with the death of that animal or has nothing to do with it, died on its own, if the animal was not slaughtered properly according to the Sharia, is considered Maita in Islam. And this is important to remember because there are so many people who kill animals. They slaughter animals, but they do not fulfill the conditions of Islam of slaughtering the animal. And therefore, those animals will still be considered Maita for us, dead animals for us. There are people who would take the chicken and just break the neck of the chicken. It's a dead animal. According to them, it is halal. They eat it, they slaughtered it, they killed it. But for us, no, it's a dead animal. Some people may kill the animal by an electrical shock. If the animal dies with that shock, he says, I killed it. I said Bismillah and I gave it the shock. It was not slaughtered according to the Sharia. Conditions of dhabh according to the Sharia were not fulfilled. This animal is Maita, is a dead animal according to us. So, very important to remember, if dhabiha, which means proper slaughtering, is not done, is Maita. Either we kill it, someone else kills it, or it dies on its own. Muslim kills it, non-Muslim kills it. It was killed in any method other than the proper method of zabiha described by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His book and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam through their hadith, it's Maita. That's number one to remember. Number two, for us to prevent the animal from being Maita, a dead animal, we have to slaughter it. In order to slaughter the animal properly, some conditions need to be fulfilled. There are some conditions for the person who's slaughtering. He has to be Muslim or Ahlul Kitab. For the animal that is being slaughtered, which has to be a type of animal that is allowed for consumption according to Islam. And the method of slaughtering has to be proper. that is cutting the throat properly according to what's described in the hadith, and he's saying Allah's name on it. So conditions, different conditions need to be fulfilled. Then we will be preventing it from being al-Maida. We talked about this part in the previous session. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also tells us that two types of dead animals are allowed for consumption. أُحِلَّتْ لَنَا مَيْتَتَانِ. Two dead animals are allowed for consumption. السمك والجراد. The fish and the locust. You know the locust? Grasshoppers? They call it tindi. These two animals are halal without slaughtering. So we know that fish we don't have to slaughter. And same thing with locust. You don't have to slaughter. It is a halal animal. Halal without slaughtering. So in summary, then we can say that when it comes to Maita, there is two types of Maita. Two types of dead animal. One is that is halal Maita. The other is najis Maita. Or we can say pure tahir Maita and najis Maita. A dead animal that is pure and clean, and dead animal that is najis. Generally all are najis, but there are some that are considered to be pure and tahir. Out of the ones that are pure and tahir, there are two types. Number one, those that are allowed for consumption, the ones that is not allowed for consumption. Allowed for consumption and tahir, although it's dead animal, as we just talked about the hadith, as-samak wal-jarad, fish and the locust. And the one that is pure but not good for consumption, human being. When a human being dies, he's not najis. If you touch the body, you will not become najis. Although we give it ghusl, that's for another reason. But the body itself is not considered najis. So it's pure, it's not najis. But because of the dignity of human being, you cannot cut it, you cannot do anything to it that will be considered disrespect to the human body. So this is Maita. Number two, waddam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the second thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned in this ayah is حُرِّمَتْ عَلَيْكُمُ الْمَيْتَ وَالدَّمْ. And blood is haram for you. Remember, as Mufassirin always said, and Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu was the first person who made this very clear, that Al-Qur'an yufassiru ba'dahu ba'da. Qur'an explains itself. Here we see just waddam. If we take this ayah and we don't take into consideration the other ayat of Al-Qur'an, we will be in real difficult situation. In simple words, you will never be able to eat a meat. Because in the meat there is always some blood. But the other ayah of Qur'an tells us, أَوْ دَمًا مَسْفُوحًا, flowing blood. So the haram is, najis is the flowing blood. The blood that is not flowing is not considered najis. So we slaughtered the animal properly, blood comes out. That blood that is coming out at that time is damam masfuhan, this is najis blood. Blood stopped flowing. Now we start skinning the animal. You cut the meat into pieces. Now you wash it, although you don't have to. According to the Sharia, this meat is clean. But still, after that some time, you washed it. When you put it into the pot for cooking, with us, we put so many masalas, what do you call it? Spices in it, that you don't see the real color of the water because of the spices. But if you keep it as it is, without adding spices to it, you surely will see blood on it. That is blood, but it's halal. So Remember, we can't just take one ayah and then just make our decision based on that. This is why we need the work done by the scholars of the Ummah when they collected all the ayat and all the hadith about every topic and they gave us the summary of it. Now, if I want to do my own judgment based on my knowledge and I'm going to go back to all of those ayat and all of those hadith, I don't have that much time, I don't have that much information. And then after having all the information, to come to the right conclusion, you need the proper taqwa and practice of the deen also. And for sure, they were a million times higher than us and greater than us. So, damam masfuha, flowing blood, is najis. And this will also tell us that sometime your skin will peel off. And you see blood there. This blood is not najis yet. When it's going to come out, when it's flowing blood, then it's going to be najis. Then you have to clean it. But if just the skin has peeled off and you can see the blood, you can pray or perform your prayer. You don't have anything that says that you have some najis thing on you. In the days of Jahiliyyah, they used to eat the blood. When they used to slaughter the animal, they would collect the blood. That was a special meal for them. And there are many hadiths that talk about people having a special feast for eating the blood. You know, some different cultures have different feast of eating something special from an animal. Some people, when they make the brain of the animal, they say this is a special one. Some people, when they make the head, they cook the head of the animal, that's a special one. And most special out of the head will be the eyes. For other people, they can't even look at it. So, different traditions. So in the Arab tradition at that time, which means in the days of Jahiliyyah, they used to consider blood to be a very special part of the animal, and they used to feed it to the main people, that means special guests, you can say. VIP dish. Maybe you're aware of it, but in China, they say one of the very special dish that they would feed the very, very VIP people, not just normal, very important people, is the raw brain of the monkey. It's a fact. A person who experienced it told us himself. So they put the monkey in the cage, he's alive, and they make the cage very narrow on him. Then they take a drill and drill a hole in the head of the monkey while he's alive. And then they put a straw through it. And now you enjoy the brain of the monkey. Different people have different things. So this is, as I said, different traditions. So in those days, they used to have a special feast on eating the blood. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, no, this is not pure and not clean. In fact, when we slaughter the animal, the main thing you want to get out of it is that blood. If the animal dies without that flowing blood, the blood will stay in the body. The whole body is going to be affected by the germs that are in the blood. And it's that blood that is going to really spoil the animal. So when it comes out, then it cleans the system, takes all the germs that are in the blood are gone out. So Sharia wants the blood to be out. They used to take it out and eat it. Sometime when we talk about the hikmah behind these things that are haram in Sharia, some people will say that that animal is haram because the blood was still inside the body and that spoils the body because all the germs that are in the blood. Yes, that's one reason. But remember, there is another reason. This is not the only reason. The other reason is, we said, it has to be slaughtered properly. Part of the slaughtering of the animal is you recite Allah's name. What does that mean? The other reason is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not allow us to take a life without the creator of that life, without the permission from the creator of that life. And when you say Bismillahi Allahu Akbar, you are saying Allah's name. That is a certificate for you that now you are allowed to slaughter this animal, permission from the one who created this soul and this life. Animals are living beings. They are life. So you are taking a life. When we are taking that life, it has to be for the right cause. In order for it to be right for the right cause, we need a permission from the one who created it. And the permission is, he said, every time when you do it, mention my name on it. So, two things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. Blood to be flowing properly, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's permission has to be there. Number 3. The third thing that this ayah mentions is وَلَحْمَ الْخِنْزِيرِ حُرِّمَتْ عَلَيْكُمُ الْمَيْتَةُ وَالدَّمُ وَلَحْمُ الْخِنْزِيرِ, and the flesh of the swine. This is haram also. The pork is haram. Of course, sometimes people ask, what's the reason behind this? Number 1, in reality, we don't need a reason. When Rabbul Alameen subhanahu wa ta'ala says haram, we take it. Why? He is the creator of our bodies. He is the creator of those animals. He says, eat this, don't eat this. That simply means he knows what is good for us, what is not good for us. Amazingly, in the worldly life, whenever people that are experts in their fields, they tell us something, we take it blindly. And we don't ask for reason and wisdoms behind it. And we don't even know it. What type of oil does your car take? There is a special type of oil. You go to the store and you will see so many different types of oil there. And you don't call the mechanic who told you this, or the car company that made this car. You don't call them, there are so many different types of oil. Tell me the reason why should I use only this one and not use the other ones. We don't know, and we don't even ask. We trust that they know what is supposed to be used. Why? Because that's the manufacturer. Subhanallah, our manufacturer, our creator, and the creator of all of these things. And we question him, why should I do it? But yes, for increasing our knowledge, we can go into the hikmah and try to understand some details of it. Nothing wrong. But that is only for our satisfaction, is not to follow or not to follow. And when we look at it from that angle, of course there are a lot of reasons. Sometimes people say that it should be halal because it looked like goat, and we talked about it previously. That if two things look alike, it doesn't mean they both have the same ruling. If another woman looks like your wife, it doesn't mean that they have the same ruling. So, ruling doesn't go by a look. The size is same. Oh, this woman looks like my wife. This one looks like my mother. But the ruling is different. So ruling will not change because things are looking alike to us. That's one. Number 2, when we look at this animal, specifically this animal, khinzir, the swines, really there is no reason a person who knows how they live and then will still even consider eating it, even if there was no statement saying don't eat it. It's a walking, or you can say living vacuum machine that keeps on sucking all the dirt on the ground. You know, in villages, they keep pigs because they don't have the sewage system. They don't have a sewage line. I have seen it, that they take all the dirt from the bathrooms. There are people who work on that, and they take all of that, just like we have our septic systems. But nowadays, you take it from the septic system, and they go and dump it somewhere else. Over there, what they do is they take it from the bathrooms, and they throw it at one place at this end of this town. Over there, they keep all the pigs. So by the end of the day, all of that is finished. That's the method of cleaning it. People say, no, nowadays we keep them clean. We keep them clean. We don't let them eat that. You know what? It's not about he eats or not. It's about what's his nature. What does he like to eat? This is what he likes to eat. You have to excuse me for a minute. And let's just be a little open and understand the effect of this, the specific thing that we are talking about. You know that word, how many times you hear it in this part of the world, and especially people who eat this pork, how much you hear the word shit, shit, and shit. You don't want to use that word, but you hear it day and night. Not only that, it went to the point of, do you talk to some young people out there on the street? Holy shit. What? When did this become holy? This thing that is worse than najasa you can have. Really, the word is being used out there. So much that initially when you use this word, you know, if someone is eating and you use the word, you don't even feel like eating anymore. Now that thing is gone. While they're eating, they talk, you keep on hearing the word. And it became so common that the nature have accepted this thing to be okay. People play with it in the bathroom, public toilets. What do you see on the walls? They do it and they play with their own things. They write with it. And now it became holy. It's the nature, this is what I'm saying. We have to understand that Sharia stops us from anything that will destroy our nature, from being pure and clean into liking these type of things and not minding these things. Najasa being on you. You talk about najasa all the time. Every few words you are making that word, uttering that word. Now, your sense is accepting it as okay. So, Sharia wants to make sure that our nature stays pure and clean. And whatever we eat is going to affect our nature. Things that we eat are affecting us. And they're affecting our nature. Affecting what we are. And this is an animal that is considered to be the most shameless animal out of all animals. I read this in the books. Then I went to the farm. And anyone can go to a farm. I'm sure we have a lot of farms around. You can go to a farm. I personally went to a farm 3 o'clock in the morning. Just to see what I read. I wanted to see it, experience it with my own eyes. So I went to the farm where there were pigs sleeping at night time. I went and stood there watching. The male pig sleeps with a female. Then he wakes up and he goes and sleeps with another one. And he wakes up and he goes and sleeps with another one. And they keep on rotating. All the males are rotating. And female doesn't stop. The other males don't stop each other. Don't stop the other ones going to their female or anything. You see roosters, how they fight? You see how lions fight? But this animal does not mind. And we see the effect. We see the effect today. That there is no haya and no one minds it either. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, a person who's the youth will not enter Jannah. The youth. You know what the youth means? A person who does not mind his wife, his daughter, any woman that is under him to do anything that is haram with other men. She talks to other men, he's fine with it. She's texting other people, he's okay with it. This is called the youth in Sharia. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, this type of man will not enter Jannah. And here we see, it's the effect of something that we are doing, that people are doing out there, that they're becoming the youth. Daughters are going out, this is my boyfriend. Next day come back home, I changed him. I brought this one now. So, this is the effect. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have to understand that it's not just if He's doing it at this time. It's what is the nature of it. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to understand. Also, remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as a punishment to some nation, He changed them into some animals. Some of the previous nations were changed into animals. And we know they were changed into al-qiradata wal-khanazir, the apes and the swines, monkeys and pigs. So any animal that was used as a punishment for human being to be converted into that, it shows us this is not for you to eat. Otherwise, the question will be that at that time people were there, those Muslims who were there at that time, could they eat these pigs? Could they eat these monkeys at that time? So, if this is the rule, that if Allah as a punishment changes human being into some other animal, that animal is haram for consumption. And this is what we see here too. So this is lahm al-khinzir. Number 4, وَمَا أُهِلَّ لِغَيْرِ اللَّهِ بِهِ. And the animal on which a name other than Allah's name was taken. Ahalla yuhillu is when you raise your voice saying something. When you're saying something with a loud voice that can be heard by others, is called ihlal. In the hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used the word إِذَا اسْتَهَلَّ الصَّبِيُّ, that when the child is born and makes a sound, which means crying sound. That means now you apply the ruling of a living being on the child. So you use the word istahalla, which means you hear the child. You see the signs of life, and child normally cry when is born. So that's a sign of life. So uhilla li ghayrillahi bihi, a name other than Allah's name was taken on this animal. Now remember 3 things. This will include 3 things. Number 1, someone is slaughtering the animal and he, God forbid, wal-a'yadhu billah, takes the name, on the name of Jesus, I'm slaughtering this. This is uhilla li ghayrillah. Number 2, someone is slaughtering the animal. Bismillahi Allahu Akbar wa bi-ismi fulan wa fulan. On the name of Allah and on the name of so and so. This is also uhilla li ghayrillah. Uhilla li ghayrillah doesn't mean Allah's name was not taken. It's someone else's name is taken, even if you mention it with Allah's name. Number 3, you mention only Allah's name, but the intention is to slaughter it for this thing, as they used to have idols, or for something else. When if the intention, just the intention is there for something else, is uhilla li ghayrillah. Remember, intention now, we have to clarify. Intention for something else means to do it for that, as an honor for it. But if you are doing it for inviting people, for aqiqah, we know, we could always have that intention, I'm slaughtering it for my guest. This is not, we are not considering them to be the God, or putting in that position, we are doing it for that purpose. This is only because we want to feed them the meat of it. We want them to get the reward of it. It's different. Just like adahi, getting the reward of it. But Slaughtering has to be only on the name of Allah and for the sake of Allah. And then meat, we can have the intention of doing whatever we want to do with it. So, أُهِلَّ لِغَيْرِ اللَّهِ بِهِ. This portion of the ayah, sometimes it creates a little confusion in some people's mind, and that is, they think according to this ayah, it means that if no one's name was taken, Allah's name wasn't taken, and someone else's name wasn't taken, then the animal should be halal. Why? Because Allah says that if a name other than Allah's name was taken, then it's haram. So they think this means if no one's name was taken, then it should be halal. Remember, this ayah is not telling us the method of slaughtering. This ayah is not talking about how to slaughter, what will make it halal. This ayah is telling us what will make it haram. Difference. This is telling us what will make it halal. Now, as far as what will make it halal, that's another ayah. Other ayahs and ahadith. For example, فَكُلُوا مِمَّا ذُكِرَ اسْمُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ إِن كُنتُم بِآيَاتِهِ مُؤْمِنِينَ وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا مِمَّا لَمْ يُذْكَرِ اسْمُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ وَإِنَّهُ لَفِسْقٌ. So, other ayahs are telling us the requirement of the dhabiha, how to make it halal. This ayah is telling us even the animal that is originally halal, how it would become haram by doing certain things. And that is, if you take a name other than Allah's name on it, it will become haram. وَأُهِلَّ لِغَيْرِ اللَّهِ بِهِ. وَالْمُنْخَنِقَةِ. And the animal killed by strangulation, which means someone choked the animal. However, the animal put his head into the fence and then was choked, or something else, or someone did it intentionally, that animal will become haram. Next number, وَالْمَوْقُوذَةِ. And the animal that was killed by hitting. وَقَذَ is ضَرَبَ. You throw something on the animal, which means you stone the animal. So that is mawquda. Someone was hitting the animal with something, he was throwing something on the animal and he killed it this way. That animal is that animal. وَالْمُتَرَدِّيَةِ. The animal dies by falling. So there was the animal was on top of the mountain and fell down. It was on the roof of the house and fell down. Mutaraddiya. This and died through that. This will be considered dead animal. وَالنَّطِيحَةِ. And the animal died by goring another animal with had long horns or something, or a strong head, went and hit that animal. And this animal died as a result of this. What will be the difference between al-munkhaniqa and al-mawquda and al-natiha? Mutaraddiya, we say, okay, he fell down. We said munkhaniqa, chopped. Okay, maybe a little clearer. Mawquda, you hit it. You threw a stone at it. Natiha, another animal, hit it with the head or stepped on it hard and killed it. What's the difference? One is you killed the animal by throwing something at it. The other is by applying pressure to it. Two different things. And Allah is making it clear. So we don't say, no, this wasn't, it didn't die because I threw something at it. I squeezed it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that's haram too. وَمَا أَكَلَ السَّبُعُ. And the animal which was eaten by a beast. That is also haram. Eaten. It's already eaten. So what does haram means? It means the remaining portion of it. It's not about taking it out of the mouth of the beast. The remaining portion of what was eaten by the beast. إِلَّا مَا ذَكَّيْتُمْ. Unless you have slaughtered it. Unless you have slaughtered it. This is connected to what? This is regarding what? إِلَّا مَا ذَكَّيْتُمْ. This is only about munkhaniqa, mawquda, mutaraddiya, and natiha. Mawquda, mutaraddiya, munkhaniqa, mawquda, mutaraddiya, natiha. These four are all part of al-maita, that animal. It's only Allah spelled it out more. that even if your action will kill it, it will become maida. So animal that is dying, illa ma dhakkaytum, if you slaughter it properly, tadhkiya. See, this is where the word tazkiya comes now, which is proper slaughtering. Except if you would slaughter it properly, then it will be halal. So the animal fell, and you went and you caught the animal before it would die. It was still breathing, it was moving little. You cut the neck of the animal properly, done. It's halal. You hit a deer. You went out, the deer is still moving. Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. It's halal. This also tells us that, when they shot the animal, they will, with the blood nowadays, with the guns, they will hit it on the head or something like that. Animal generally doesn't die. Big animals don't die with that. So this is part of al-mawquda, that was hit. It doesn't say where you hit. You hit the animal with the stone and hit the head. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, illa ma dhakkaytum, if you slaughter it before it dies, it's halal. So that is halal. No question about it. But you don't want anyone to say illa ma dhakkaytum is connected to the whole ayah, and then they will apply to lahm al-khinzir also. See? You never know which way direction people are going. And a person is going to come with a research sooner or later. Every day there are new researches, as we said. So someone is going to come, you say, these mullahs and these scholars made it haram for us. Otherwise, Qur'an says, illa ma dhakkaytum, and beginning of the ayah says, lahm al-khinzir. So even that will be dhakkaytum. It should be halal. So remember, this is only connected to this. وَمَا ذُبِحَ عَلَى النُّصُبِ, and that which has been slaughtered before the idols. So an animal that was taken in front of the idol and slaughtered there. This person didn't mention no name, but slaughtering on the idol, it's haram. وَأَن تَسْتَقْسِمُوا بِالْأَزْلَامِ, and that you determine shares through the arrows. This is also haram. What does this have to do with animals? Determining shares with arrows. In the days of Jahiliyyah, there was a tradition that they used to kill the animal, and then they would have 10 arrows. Everyone will pick an arrow. 7 arrows will have some numbers to it, and 3 arrows are blank, which means 0. Now we all put our money together, and we bought a camel. After buying the camel, we slaughtered it, and now it's going to be divided into 7 shares, not 10 shares. 10 of us are together that paid for it, but it's going to be divided in 7 shares. And every person that picks an arrow will get a share, but these 3 will not get their share. So it's related to animal. Distribution of the animal. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in simple words, is telling us is not just about slaughtering, is how you deal with it after slaughtering also is important. This is what this portion is telling us. وَأَن تَسْتَقْسِمُوا بِالْأَزْلَامِ ذَلِكُمْ فِسْقٌ. All of this is sin. First, let's understand the word fisq. فَسَقَ يَفْسِقُ in Arabic language means kharaja, to come out. And generally, in the language, if anyone has studied a little bit about languages, in all traditional languages used to be all drawings. Like something looks like a fish, something looks like a star, something looks like a mountain. Those were the letters of the languages in the previous days, in old days. And this is generally how languages came up into existence. After Adam alayhi salatu wasalam's time, when people started learning the languages and learning the words in different languages, so they used to take something, look at something, and then give it a name. And then apply that name to other things also. So, in Arabic tradition, we know one of the most common fruit that they use is dates. When you take a date, keep it for a long time, after some time you see the skin of it starts peeling off. It breaks, and you start seeing the date inside. When you see that, you can tell that the date is old. and it's coming out of the skin of it. So they used to call this fisq, which means the date is out now. And this is not such a good date because it's out of the skin. And from there, the word fisq was driven. And now anything that comes out of something is called fisq. In Sharia, fisq is when a person comes out of the deen of Allah. The deen of Allah is a cover that covers us and protects us. And when a person comes out of this cover, is fasiq, is dirty now, is not protected, is not clean anymore. Now you will see dirt on it, and you won't be able to clean it, it's stuck to it. But if it was the skin was still on it, then if you clean it, you wash it, it will wash off easy. After the skin is off, now washing is difficult. This is what fisq is. When a Muslim, when a believer stays within the cover of the Sharia, he's protected and is clean. When he comes out of the skin of the Sharia, and the skin of the Sharia is peeled off him, now he's seeing dirt. Now dirt will stick to this person. And this is why some people have given example of the hijab with that peel on the fruit. That when you have an apple and there is a peel on it, the apple is protected. You peel it off, now it's going to get dirty. Hijab is a protection. You peel it off, then every insect likes to sit on it. Then all insects who like dirt, they like to come and sit on it. So, this is fisq really. So, fasiq in Sharia is a person who comes out of the covering of the Sharia. See the beauty of the word, that he took off the cover of the Sharia from him. And now he's exposed to the haram and to the sin. This is fasiq. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says eating these things is fisq. A person becomes fasiq, a person who would eat haram things. Eating maita and any of these types of maita, that person is fasiq. Now keep the word fisq in mind and connect it to another ayah. وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا مِمَّا لَمْ يُذْكَرِ اسْمُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ وَإِنَّهُ لَفِسْقٌ. Don't eat from the animal on which Allah's name was not mentioned, because that is fisq. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is connecting it here. That fisq is to eat haram. And fisq is to eat from the meat of the animal that was not slaughtered properly on the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's also fisq. اليوم يئس الذين كفروا من دينكم فلا تخشوهم واخشون. Now, the ruling of halal and haram is over at this point. It's the same ayah. The ayah didn't change. But, you see the message is changing. Let's see what is the message here and why it changed. اليوم يئس الذين كفروا من دينكم. Today, the disbelievers have lost all hope in your faith. So do not fear them and fear me. They lost hope in what? The ayah says, يَئِسَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. Disbelievers, kuffar, have lost hope in your deen. They lost hope in destroying your deen. They lost hope in your deen being changed the way their deen was changed. They lost all hope in this deen, that we cannot change this deen. We cannot damage the deen. We cannot destroy this deen. They lost hope. We may say some people are trying, not some. Nowadays we have a lot of people that keep on trying. If a person was going with a gun and he kept on shooting at the building, and his target is inside the building, and he keep on shooting at the building, he sees glass and he keep on shooting at the glass, and after all the bullets are all finished, he realizes that this is bulletproof. I can't do nothing to it. So someone says, you have more bullets. Try it. He says, no, I know. This is bulletproof. So another person comes after a few days, he says, I'm going to break the glass. And he picks up a stone and he throws it at the glass. What would you call it? This is what these people are doing today's time. People try to shoot the bullet, the glass of the Iman. From the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and from the early days, from the time he started his da'wah till the end of his life, people were shooting at it. But يَئِسَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِن دِينِكُمْ, Allah says they gave up all hope that they can do anything to this deen of Allah. And after a few days, every sometime you see those children standing with rocks and trying to throw rocks at it. Those bullets couldn't do nothing. Those bombs couldn't do nothing. Your stone is going to do something. So, this is only people who don't know what they're doing. People who studied it, they know to be friendly with it, and they gave hope in making the same thing happen to this deen what happened to the previous religions. No, they can't do that. They can't change the book of Allah the way previous books were changed. They can't change the Sharia of Allah the way other Sharia was changed. This deen will be preserved in its original form till the day of Qiyamah. الْيَوْمَ يَئِسَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِن دِينِكُمْ. So فَلَا تَخْشَوْهُمْ. Allah says, who protected your deen for you? I did it. So don't fear them, fear me. If anything is going to make you lose your deen, is not the kuffar, is disobedience to me. They gave up the hope in making any changes to this deen. So they will, فَلَا تَخْشَوْهُمْ, don't fear them. But if you disobey me, then you will lose your deen. وَخْشَوْنِي, fear me. This is what fear me means. That you fear me. That don't do anything that is against me, against my pleasure, against my deen. Otherwise, I will take this deen away from you. Today, all of our blame is towards kuffar. This country is doing this, and that country is doing this, and that country is doing this. I guarantee if we all sit together and we do istighfar every day together, we are doing istighfar and seeking Allah's forgiveness and coming back to the deen of Allah, coming back to the Sharia of Allah, to the ahkam of the Sharia, and to the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, no one can do anything to the deen of Allah. But we say no. It has to be through my speech and through my conference and through our having big programs. No, it's our amal. It's our life. It's how we are dealing with our deen and with our Rabb subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَلَا تَخْشَوْهُمْ وَخْشَوْنِي. Don't fear them, fear me. الْيَوْمَ أَكْمَلْتُ لَكُمْ دِينَكُمْ. Beautiful ayah. But before I go to that, why there was a change? الْيَوْمَ يَئِسَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِن دِينِكُمْ. After talking about the rules of halal and haram, all of a sudden, today, kuffar have given up all hope in your deen to tell us that basically the main part of the deen is halal and haram, do's and don'ts. And once you preserve that, and when people see the do's and don'ts in Islam and how they are preserved, they give up hope in your deen. So this is the beauty of our deen. إِنَّ الْحَلَالَ بَيِّنٌ وَالْحَرَامُ بَيِّنٌ. Halal is clear, haram is clear. That's it. Everything is clear. Beautiful deen. People give up hope in it. الْيَوْمَ أَكْمَلْتُ لَكُمْ دِينَكُمْ. Today I have perfected your religion for you. وَأَتْمَمْتُ عَلَيْكُمْ نِعْمَتِي. And completed my blessing upon you. وَرَضِيتُ لَكُمُ الْإِسْلَامَ دِينًا. And has chosen Islam as a deen, as a way of life for you. Three things. الْيَوْمَ أَكْمَلْتُ لَكُمْ دِينَكُمْ. Today I have perfected your religion for you. Number two, وَأَتْمَمْتُ عَلَيْكُمْ نِعْمَتِي. I have completed my blessing upon you. Number three, وَرَضِيتُ لَكُمُ الْإِسْلَامَ دِينًا. And I'm pleased. Really, rida is pleasure. I'm pleased to have Islam as your way of life. I know we may be looking at the watch, that how long more is he going to talk now? But let me explain very briefly. Really, this portion of the ayah needs more time than what we already spent. Because you know what it's telling us? This is telling us about the completion of our deen and the perfection of this deen. This ayah was revealed at the time of Hajjatul Wada, the 10th year of Hijrah, and the 9th of Zul Hijjah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is in Arafat, in his Hajj, in his Ihram, in the most important part of the Hajj, Al-Hajj al-Arafah, and the ayah was revealed over there. After this, no hukum of halal and haram was revealed. And Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam lived only 81 days after the revelation of the ayah. Then he passed away. The ayah is talking about what? Perfection of the deen and completion of this ni'mah that we have. What is the difference? First thing we need to understand the difference between akmaltu and atmamtu. Akmaltu is perfected. Atmamtu is completed. I'm supposed to give everyone 1 pound of wheat. So you come and I give you 1 pound of wheat. I gave you the complete or not? You got the complete thing that you were supposed to get. You're supposed to get 1 pound, I gave you 1 pound. This is completion. I have completed everything. But how was the wheat? Was it the nice one? Or it wasn't the real one? Was it the fresh one? Or it was old one? If it was the most complete and perfect and the best you can get, this is akmaltu. I gave you ikmal also, the perfection also there. So completed and perfected. Two different things. Perfection is higher than completion. A child is born with all the features the way a human being is supposed to. But when some people look at the child, they don't think that this is a very beautiful child. So it's a complete child, but in my eyes is not perfect. If the nose was like this, if the lips were like this, it would be more better. So perfection comes after completion. Complete and then perfect. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala completed the deen and perfected the deen. Remember, after completing, you can add more to it. Okay? But after perfection, no, you cannot add more to it. Now look at the beauty of it. Al-yawma akmaltu lakum what? Deenakum. Deen is perfected. You cannot add anything to it. No one can add anything to this deen. وَأَتْمَمْتُ عَلَيْكُمْ what? Ni'mati. I completed the ni'mah, but I can give you more ni'mah. Itmam can add more to it. Ikmal, there is nothing more after that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, deen is perfected. No one can add anything to this deen. And the ni'mah that I gave you through Islam will keep on increasing. I completed it today, but it can keep on increasing. وَأَتْمَمْتُ عَلَيْكُمْ نِعْمَتِي. Number 3, وَرَضِيتُ لَكُمُ الْإِسْلَامَ دِينًا. I'm pleased to have Islam as deen means way of life. I'm pleased to have Islam as a way of life for you. Which simply means if a person goes away from the way of life, which is Islam, to any other way of life, is giving priority to his own pleasure over Allah's pleasure. Is disregarding Allah's pleasure, because Allah's pleasure is in Al-Islam being our way of life. If our way of life is not Al-Islam, then we are ignoring Allah's pleasure, to say the least. We are ignoring Allah's pleasure. Allah's pleasure will be through following this deen al-Islam. وَرَضِيتُ لَكُمُ الْإِسْلَامَ دِينًا فَمَنِ اضْطُرَّ فِي مَخْمَصَةٍ غَيْرَ مُتَجَانِفٍ لِإِثْمٍ. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us something connected to the previous portion of the ayah. Whoever is compelled by extreme hunger غَيْرَ مُتَجَانِفٍ لِإِثْمٍ, having no inclination towards sin, then Allah is most forgiving, very merciful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that things are haram. I told you things that are haram, but if a person is in a very distressed situation, which means life-threatening situation, and now he has to, there is nothing to save his life other than haram. It could be food, it could be medication. If there is nothing that can save this person's life other than haram at this time, he is allowed to use that haram. But the condition is غَيْرَ مُتَجَانِفٍ لِإِثْمٍ, without leaning towards sin. Okay, I have the opportunity of drinking this today. No, it should not be a desire. It should not be a willingness. It should not be something that is looking to it. No, consider it to be a necessity, and necessity of ضَرُورَةُ تَتَقَدَّرُ بِقَدْرِهَا. Necessity will be limited to as much as is needed at that time. So, take an example. Middle of the desert. Someone is dying. He found a pig, killed it, and he ate few pieces, saved his life. Now, he says, what I'm going to do tomorrow? Okay, let me carry some with me also. This is mutajanif al-ithm. He's leaning towards the sin. Saved your life today. The one who saved your life today can save your life tomorrow. Don't go for haram. You're saved now. Now you are allowed to eat. And this is also something we need to remember. If it is life-threatening situation, and the person has only haram food to eat, if he will not eat it, because it is haram, he will die as a sinner. Because Allah is making it halal and obligating him to save his life. Unlike the situation where someone was pressed to do something against the deen, say something against Allah, say something against the Prophet, against Qur'an, and it was life-threatening situation. Either say it or you lose your life. And the person decided not to say that, and he loses life. He is holding to the azima and to the firm iman. That was for iman. This was for life. Eating haram for life is must. But uttering a word against your iman, you're strong, go ahead. And this is what Bilal radiallahu anhu was. This is what the example of Ammar radiallahu anhu is. Ahadun ahad, ahadun ahad. That is the stronger iman. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ, then Allah is most forgiving, very merciful. Ghafur, forgiving. But he didn't commit sin by eating it. Why the word Ghafur here? Rahim, we can understand. He's very merciful. He said, okay, now you're allowed to eat. I don't want you to die like this, starving to death. Go ahead and eat. Rahim, He's merciful. I make it halal for you right now. But Ya Allah, you made it halal, then why I need Ghafur at this time? Because remember, Ghafara, literal meaning is satara, to cover it up. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, one is forgiving, the other is on the day of Qiyamah, bringing it up and then telling you, okay, because you are excused. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ghafur, He will just cover it up. He will not even mention it to you after this. He will not even bring it up. That remember one day you ate this and I'm okay, I'm still letting you go to Jannah. No. Ghafurun. It's not just about forgiveness or not being held accountable for it. It's about not even bringing it up. So Allah is most forgiving, which means covering on you. And Rahim, very merciful. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala connect us to this Ghafur and Rahim subhanahu wa ta'ala and give us tawfiq to appreciate our Ghafur and Rahim Rabb and always follow the rules of the Sharia in everything of our life and always be connected to this beautiful book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa sallallahu ta'ala ala khayri khalqi Sayyidina wa Habibina wa Nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Ameen.